Welcome to I Wrote That, a podcast where we bring authors and industry experts together to talk about all things books and make the journey to authorship just a little bit easier. My name is Larissa Sohan, and I am the CEO of Next Page Publishing, a hybrid publishing house where we help entrepreneurs write books to grow their businesses. Now, I'm on a mission to help aspiring authors feel like they are in control of the publishing journey and that they are supported by a team of experts who genuinely want the best for them and their books. If you are in the very beginning of your journey, or maybe you have a manuscript that you're finished and you're not sure how to get it out into the world, I encourage you to reach out to us at nextpagepublishing.net. You can schedule your free discovery call and find out how our team of experts can make your journey to being a published author easy, smooth, and successful. Now, without further ado, let's get on to our next amazing guest and make your journey to authorship a little less complicated. Welcome to another episode of I Wrote That, where we're going to be bringing in an industry expert to have a conversation about all things writing her books, what it's like to be in the publishing industry, and all the good things. So I want to welcome Safrianna Lughna, known professionally as the Queer Spirit Guide and the visionary CEO of Living Luna. She's a best-selling author and transformational coach. Her work is deeply rooted in ethical and sustainable practices. Love that. Guiding her mission to empower visionary leaders and healers. Now, with a focus on self-alignment and the celebration of authentic self, Safrianna's vision extends to uniting the healing world, one leader, healer, and community at a time. So welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to be here.
Isn't it so fun to come in and talk about the things that we love, like
Yes.
writing and changing the world one person at a time?
Just having exciting conversations is literally one of my number one favorite pastimes.
I know.
So,
That's why we have to have podcasts in our lives, right? So your book just came out like literally 2 months ago. Is that right?
Yes, we launched in the last quarter of 2023, and I couldn't even tell you, it's all a blur now. I remember that we launched on a full moon. That's how I keep track of my time. I think it was the full moon in November when we officially launched, and since then we've gotten our Library of Congress control number and all that good stuff. So we're hopefully going to be getting it on bookshelves in libraries and stores very soon here as well.
Congratulations. That's so exciting. And it just highlights the technical aspect of publishing a book. Writing it is like 60% of the effort. The last 40% is what do you do with it afterwards?
Yes.
How do you get it onto shelves? And yeah.
All the technical things that, when I was younger, I just envisioned that I would have a publisher do everything for me, of course. And then in actual adulthood went, oh, wait, I want more say in everything involved in this because this is literally like my child. And so I took the steps necessary to be a part of the entire creative process. And yeah, there was a lot I had no idea I was going to have to get into.
Yeah. So what route of publishing did you choose for your book?
So I went the self-publishing route, but I did technically my ISBN and all of that is registered through a hybrid publishing house called the House of Indigo Publishing. I call that publishing house my sole publisher. She's also a hybrid publisher. And even though this was a fiction book, I love working with her. So even though she didn't do anything in the book for this project other than the education to get me to actually publish it, I wanted to publish it technically under her house. So otherwise, it's self-published. The cover was designed. Like I commissioned the cover to be designed. We did all of our own editing. I was an English teacher and had an English degree. So it was finally like, oh, I get to brush off my editing skills, and had a team of readers that went in and edited it with me. And we did our layout and our design. So most of the book was with my own hands, but I got education and coaching and so much else from the other people that I worked with along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm going to ask the question. So how long did it take you to write the book?
3 days.
Wow.
So that's a fun story. So this book, Bumblebees and White Balloons, was originally written for the 3-day novel contest. And that was in 2020. And of course, I'm, sitting at home. I took off work for 3 days because I hadn't taken any work off that year, and I wrote a book in 3 days.
Hmm.
That's what I did with my time. And the edits, so of course that was like no edits. You just submit your book to the contest. Literally whatever you write in those 3 days is what you're allowed to submit. Uh, it did not win the contest, clearly, which is a great thing, honestly, but it got the book out, the draft out. And then it was probably about an actual consecutive time. It took me another 2.5 years to actually get the book back out and in the final editing stage, and then, a total of 3 years to get it out. But uh, doing the final rewrites and additional scenes probably took about a month's worth of additional work.
Hmm.
So that was not the time consuming part, right? It was the mindset and the actual knowledge getting and all of that. And I might have wound up with a similar timeline had I gone traditional publishing, but again, wouldn't have had as much creative control.
Yeah, I think that's the again. So you are an oddity in how long it took you to write your book, but then by not by much. I wrote my first sci-fi book in just under 8 weeks from
Wow.
full from nothing, no idea to full plot, fully ready to go book. Still do the editing, but I think that's the point that I wanted to hit on. The writing part. Okay, I'm going to even back it down. The writing is 40%. Everything
Hmm.
else is 60. The editing, the design, the marketing, the publishing, the getting the
Yep.
ISBNs. That is the part where authors like I think that's where they struggle the most. Be like, "Oh, I'm done the hard part. Yay, I wrote the book." Oh, crap.
What's next? Yeah, I mean, I've always been the kind of person when I write, I love to dive really deep in. And so I usually write in really like concise chunks. So like the 3-day novel contest or National Novel Writing Month, which is November, and you're meant to write a 50,000 word book in 30 days. I've done that numerous years and written a number of books. This was the first one I published
Hmm.
finally, right? And it was written literally 3 years ago, 3 years ago plus. But there's so many steps along the way. For me, getting this first one out was really like the freedom because now I know the whole process. I've gone through the entire pipeline from start to finish, right? From idea to getting it out there and talking about it and marketing it and all of that. So now it feels much less daunting, of course, but going into it, especially when I was like, okay, we're really going to do this. We're really going to publish it now. This was not just another book that I wrote because I wanted to write. I love
Hmm.
writing. I've written a lot of those. But this is something I want to put out into the world. All right, well, what does it take to get there? And so
Hmm.
I knew I either would have to hire someone to do it all for me, right? That's one option, or go the route of trying to find an agent and get into a traditional publishing house. Or I could take the reins into my own hands, get education, and figure out how to do it, right? Have people coach me so that I could do it in my most authentic way.
Hmm. And I think you found a unicorn in your publishing house, honestly, of someone who's willing to partner with you and teach you how to do it. It's that teach a fish to swim. So many publishing
Hmm.
houses, and I'm gonna very explicitly call these ones vanity presses, don't want you to know what is
Right.
happening. They want you
Yes.
to depend on them to the point where you have to come back. And that's kind of our philosophy inside of our publishing house too, is teach a fish to swim.
Yes.
Teach a man to fish? I don't know what the
Uh,
saying
t-
is.
teach a man to fish
I don't think
and
I'm
yeah, yeah,
teaching
yeah.
fish to swim. I don't think I need to do that. But
No, I don't think
the
you need to
point
do that
is
one.
like give the author the skill. So if they opt to want to do it themselves next time they can,
Yes.
more often than not, that author is like, wow, that was a lot of work. No, thank you.
Right.
I
But
will come back
yeah,
to you anyway.
and that's as we were doing part of this process, like I kept saying to one of my partners, I'm polyamorous. I write about polyamory. I speak about polyamory. It's in my book. Like literally, it's a feature of the characters in this fiction book. One of my partners was helping me with the layout and design in the actual program. We used Atticus for the layout. And Atticus is a slightly newer program. My mentor had used it, but actually said, like, I don't highly recommend it because it's new and they're gonna have all these features coming in, but they don't have them yet. And I'm like, of course, like I want the shiny features. I want to be there for the whole ride of everything they're gonna do with this awesome program. So we jumped into this program, and by the time we got with finished layouts, I can't quite remember, but this was past initial tweaks. We had at least 7 to 10 different manuscripts laid out in slightly different ways that we were then having to go through every single page. And I looked at this partner of mine and I said, I hope you do realize that this is like $7,000 to $10,000 of work easily
Hmm.
that we're taking and we're doing because we do have the skills to do it. Now that's a big thing. I don't want to say to every author or aspiring author out there, like, do it all yourself. You need to be aware of what skills you have.
Hmm.
And he has a tech background and literally does my web layout and design. So he was a very easy transition to get him to do a book layout and document proofing. Whereas me with my English degree, I can do a lot of the grammar editing myself as long as I can see it, right? And one of the skills there is to listen to it out loud so you can catch the
Hmm.
grammar. But like if I had no experience with that, I would have needed to hire an editor
Yeah.
because there's no one on my team that could have edited in the capacity that I could have.
Yeah.
I would have needed to hire someone to do the layout if I were a person trying to do this on my own and computer programs frustrate me, I couldn't have sat there and done that whole layout myself.
Yeah.
So really assessing what our skills are and then where do we need the help? Like that's so important to admit where we need the help in creating these things.
I think you and I serve a similar audience in thought leaders and people that are out there to change the world, to have their voice
Hmm.
heard, to tell their message. And a huge flaw in our personality is believing that we have to do it all ourselves. I'm like, okay, it's me against the world. I'm going to do this by
Yeah,
myself. And we don't see success until we drop that and
absolutely.
realize where we need the support.
Absolutely. I kept saying to my one partner as we were going through, because one of my partners was there for me during the writing process and was like one of the first people to read it and be like, yes, this book needs to be in the world. And then this partner was the back end, like the, okay, now we're actually going to push the book out into the world. And I kept saying to him, like, if you were not here for this part of the process, this book would never hit a shelf
Yeah.
because I could not. And I had that moment of realization of I can't do it alone. And thank goodness I had it like 2 years ago and I've been like moving into that with literally all of my being, my work, my work self, my home self, my, emotional self and spiritual self. Like we're not meant to do anything alone. We are communal creatures. That's so much of the work I do in the world is community building and teaching about human dynamics. If we want to be alone, it's actually a sign we're around the wrong people, like
Hmm.
that we're not around the supportive people we need because we want to be in community as a species.
Yeah.
So these projects, any project, I mean, a child takes 2 people to bring a child into the world, right? It takes at least 2 people to pretty much bring anything out into the world. I
Yeah.
mean, you could do an art piece on your own, but if no one else ever shares it, is it going to really get out there?
Yeah, it's so funny that the book to child analogy comes up literally all the time because they are so similar.
Yes.
And something that we're moving forward with in 2024 is the aftercare plan. And if you're a
Mm,
mom, you hear afterbirth and you're like, ooh, that sounds yucky. Um, but it's true with our books, and you're in the aftercare phase of your book right now. Of like, so okay, so your book. You had launch week. It was really exciting. The world came out to support you, to clap you on the back, to order your book. And then, like 2 weeks later, I'm just predicting, 2 weeks later, it was like, that's nice. Good job. Kind of tired of hearing about it.
yeah, I actually intentionally, I kind of knew. I was like, okay, the way I want to go about this is launch it, let it be, let it exist, and then circle back around. And so that's why now I'm kind of going on my like podcast tour. I'm actually talking about it because it's been out for a couple of months and had time to land. And like I said, some of the back end stuff, right? Like every time you launch a book, you forget to put something in it or you have a typo somewhere that you never see until it's printed.
Mhm.
And one of my favorite parts of bringing this book into the world was that I literally was on the screen because again, this is my first book I have done myself. Very important to note. Not my first thing I've written or book I've been published in, but the first time I have gone through the process. And I did not realize in publishing through Amazon and KDP that there is a button you have to click to order your author copy. And if you do not click the button the moment that you see it, you cannot find it again. So I never got a print copy of my book until 2 weeks after it had already launched and gone through. I don't know why this flaw is there. I literally was digging everywhere. Like, where do I get my author copy? No, it was the button on the like confirm to send it off to be proofed.
Okay, you listeners, you cannot see my face, but I'm giving her like, what the heck are you talking about? Because I have never seen that problem before, and I have published dozens of books and been able to get their author copy. So I'm gonna
Do
put
but was it like a button? Like did you remember to click the button? Because what I'm saying is if you forget to click that button, there's no go back and click the button. And I forgot to click the button. So make sure you click to get
okay,
your
yeah,
author
let's just put the
copy.
advice out there, like click the button when you see the button.
Click the button when you see the button. I did
I've
not.
been so there is a way, and maybe I can coach you on your second book to go back and find the button again, you poor
Well,
soul.
never
But
gonna not click that button again,
if you see
ever.
the button, click the button. Yeah, yeah. No, that's so funny. And so, can I ask what your aftercare plan is like? So you're heading into podcasting now. What is your plan to keep this book fresh, relevant, and in front of new readership?
Yeah, so talking about it, continuing to talk about it, going on podcasts, and that's the part that I'm like really leaning into right now. Meanwhile, because I love education, I am, and I know you know, we're just going to do a shout out to Bridget Eileen Cisco. I am in her Visibility on Purpose program and doing a lot of the PR education right now. So my plan is to actually start talking about this book in a bigger way because what needs to be talked about with my book, and this is something I'd encourage everyone to think about, is like, why do you need to talk about your book? Because if you don't have any reason to talk about your book, does the book need to happen?
Hmm.
Maybe it's something you need to write for you, but it doesn't need published, right? Maybe it's something you need to process, but why do you need to talk about this book? I need to talk about this book because it is a fiction novel that's semi-autobiographical that talks about pregnancy loss. And I have not seen very many fiction books or nonfiction books, for that matter, that openly talk about the emotions behind pregnancy loss. That is a huge group of people who have experienced that, who never see themselves reflected in media.
Yeah, I
And
love
that,
that.
and yeah, like I really believe that we are our niche, we are our power, our voice is here to share with others, something that only we can say. And so why do you need to talk about your book? So that's really where I'm at right now is where can I talk about this and bring more eyes to it that need to hear what this has to offer or to experience the healing that the characters experience because
Hmm.
maybe they never had a chance to process in that way. So I think every book has that, like the why it needs to be talked about so that people that need to hear it will hear it. So yeah, public relations is really where I'm at. I'm just kind
Hmm.
of, and I'm my marketing team, right? Like we're a small startup company and Living Luna has about 5 team members and most of us are volunteers right now. But as it grows and as the message gets out there more, that's where we can amplify our work and get more eyes on it. So I'm gonna start kicking that off, and then I know more and more will come because of that. The
Hmm.
more eyes that see it, the more support there is.
I do want to highlight on the loss aspect of pregnancy loss, miscarriages, stillbirths, things like that. So anyone that knows my origin story knows that's my origin story. That's how
Hmm.
I kicked off my business. That's how I nearly lost my life. That is how I also gained my life back and how my life became purposeful and meaningful again. And my first book is along those lines of as well of finding yourself and going through the
Hmm.
processes. And a good book fiction or nonfiction cannot be written from a spot where you're not willing to grow as an author. And
Yes,
like I imagine, I'm only imagining it's the same for you, but as you were writing the book, there's tears because you're growing as the character is growing and you're putting them through the paces and you're digging up all those icky emotions again. But to be a good character, they have to come out the other side.
absolutely.
And you have to, as a good writer, have to be able to walk that with them.
Absolutely. And I think that, like I was saying, you're your own niche. We are our power. Our voice is powerful. I think that one of the most powerful things we can do in fiction, and I mean, really finding our voice in nonfiction is important too, but in fiction is to take parts of us, parts of our experience, parts of our human personality, and put them in characters so that we can tease tease out what needs to be explored, what unseen shadows of ourselves need to come through our characters and be healed. And that's where actual good stories come from, and why like AI is not ever going to really be able to write a story that we relate to,
Hmm.
because it does not have the inside scoop on what things feel like.
Yeah.
Whereas we can pour that into characters and create stories that really do move people because they
Yeah.
moved us. If they don't move us, yeah, like everything I've written that I've been like, oh, I need to share this, has absolutely caused me to bawl my eyes out.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can feel that in the writing. Like you said, AI is
Absolutely.
not going to write something that's going to make me cry. Ever. Maybe it'll make me laugh. Maybe it'll make me go, oh, that's interesting, but it will never evoke a strong emotion from me. It doesn't
Yeah,
have that ability.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you laugh because you're like, that's stupid. Why would you write that?
I love when AI, writes meanings for what songs are supposed to be about, which
Oh.
is hilarious. Or having it write certain nonsense topics into poetry. Like we
Mm.
were writing poetry with AI about pajamas and
Oh.
the beauty of pajamas, and we were all having, a hilarious time. But stories and nonfiction or fiction stories, yeah, you cannot emulate that, the human voice and the breadth of emotion.
Yeah.
And I'm not anti-AI. I'm not.
No,
I
I'm
have a
not
lot of
either. It
opinions
has a
about it,
time and a
but
place, right?
absolutely has a
Yeah.
time and a place, and writing fiction is not it.
No. Not even nonfiction, because it will never generate new thought.
Right.
It will
Nope.
never break the waves. It will never do anything that
Yep.
changes the way we think. It will
Yeah.
only regenerate what exists. And so you just
Yeah.
you won't get new from AI. Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about more about that aftercare plan of how do we take the book and then move beyond the book, because you have a whole brand you're trying to establish here. So we're going to talk about what that aftercare plan looks like.
Awesome.
Attention, all aspiring authors. Are you ready to turn your book dreams into reality? Look no further than Author Allies, your ultimate companion on the journey to becoming a published author. Picture this: a membership site that offers structure, accountability, skill development, and unwavering support to bring your book ideas to life. That's exactly what Author Allies provides. Dive into weekly writing workshops where you can focus on your goals and stay motivated. Need expert advice? Our monthly Ask the Expert sessions connect you directly with industry professionals for valuable insights. Engage with fellow members through our Beta Reader Switch program, perfect for refining your manuscript before publication. Get access to a list of our verified resources so that when it's time to edit, design, and publish your book, you know where to turn. You can also enhance your craft with our writing training modules. Complete the exercises designed to elevate your skills and participate in the challenges. And as an added bonus, you can enjoy exclusive discounts on our future programs to help you streamline your publishing services. And if you're looking for a little bit more personalized advice, you will have access as a member to our one-on-one coaches to provide tailored support from our experienced professionals. Your literary dreams are within reach within our community of like-minded authors and expert guidance. Visit nextpagepublishing.net to join the membership and create a community around you and your book that guarantees your success. All right, we are back. So, Safrianna, let's talk about what comes after this book. So you've got your media. I also, shout out to Bridget, I am also part of VOP. And in 2024, we are adding her programs into our program. So any author that
Amazing.
goes through our programs at Next Page Publishing also gets access to that media training, because I firmly believe media is the future. Social media can go and die in a small hole as far as I'm considered. It's media that is going to carry my brand forwards and upwards, and it's going to be that credibility booster that we need in our brands. So for you, what does next steps look like after the book?
Yeah, so obviously the book is here, the book is birthed, it's published. So the talking about it, the getting out there on shows, podcasts, blogs, even sharing about the book in as many ways, shapes, and forms, speaking, written, that really have to do with the healing that is meant to come from the book, like starting the conversations about, for example, with this pregnancy loss. Another big theme in this book is racism. And so, really, just bringing awareness and talking about those issues while talking about the book because it is tied into my brand. Living Luna's slogan is uplifting the others. We're literally about uplifting people who have had that experience of being marginalized or othered in society. And that's what this book ultimately is about. It's a book about sort of accepting the differences and standing up for one another when our differences aren't respected.
Hmm.
And that is something that I think most people can relate to. So this book doesn't need to go quiet and me never talk about it again. I need to keep talking about it and themes that are in this. And through that, that also can bring awareness to what my brand is doing with inclusion, with diversity, with equity, with gender conversations, with mothering conversations. This book touches on a lot of major themes
Hmm.
that are very important to me. So continuing to speak on those issues is continuing to bring awareness to the book as well.
Absolutely. And as we learn in our media training, approaching media is very different when you're an author because your titles change, your role changes, and the end goal becomes slightly different because now it's not just raising awareness on the topic, it's awareness on the topic plus go buy my book. And so
Hmm.
it's a little bit of a different jig that you're trying to navigate. So yeah, that's very interesting. When it comes to the boldness in the topics that are in your book, what was it like to release something like that into the world? What was the emotional process that you went through?
There was definitely a lot of EFT tapping with my EFT practitioner and talking with my coaches and just all of my support networks because honestly, my biggest, and to this day, my biggest fear, of course, and I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with this, is my family reading it. What happens when my family reads and responds to this?
Hmm.
I had to really tap on a lot of anxiety and really clear a lot of that because there are some really, really hefty themes in this book, and that is me. I am the person that boldly moves forward and keeps talking about these things even when people say hush, because that's my origin story was the voiceless. My origin story was if you tell someone this, something bad will happen. And so I stayed silent for pretty much the first 3 decades of my life. And to put this book out in the world as my first book really was an intentional thing because it's talking about this huge event in my life in a fictional way, but it is also bringing in the pandemic, racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, like all of these heavy hitting topics that society doesn't quite talk about enough yet. And through the lenses of the characters, it makes it more relatable. And even though I had all of this fear, and of course, there's still family members that haven't read it and may read it, are probably going to read it. And I've just been preparing for no matter what they say, I knew this book had to come out. I knew this needed to be said in the world. And I've already gotten the affirmation that I needed about that because one of the first people who read the book, and this was a stranger, I did not know this person. She started following me because of another book project I was in. And I hadn't really talked to her, but she started following me right around the time that I launched this book. She's one of the first people to buy it and read it in ebook copy. And then she sent me a DM and she said, wow, I could not put this book down. It was eye-opening and it made me look back on a queer relationship that I had with a woman of color and realize that I did not stand up for her in front of my family. And I like right then and there, I was like, and no,
Done.
nothing bad that comes my way I'm ever going to care about now because it did open someone's eyes to the impact that we can have on one another. And that's something that's so important to me as a person. What I'm here to do, in great part, my gifts, so to speak, is to help people understand the impact that they have on one another. And so this book is all about the impact that the characters have on one another when they're codependent, when they're not standing up for, the truth or what's right or just or fair, and what fallout can happen as a result of that. And
Hmm.
eventually, I think it has a happy ending with lots of good boundaries and changing, shifting dreams, which is very human. And so all that fear was worth it to just have even one person say, this changed my perspective on how I relate to people moving forward.
That's a very, very healthy way of going about it. I know a lot of authors, when we get into this business, we think our book is gonna be good for everyone. Everybody's gonna get a kick out of it. Everybody's gonna need to read it. And then when we get that bad review, we're like, oh, that breaks my whole heart. My whole book is garbage. And part of the coaching that we do in our program in the very beginning is not, your book is not for everyone. Your book is for someone. And as soon as we realize that, I heard this in another podcast that I was a guest on, and I've been kind of spreading it like candy to the other people. When someone says, hey, I didn't like your book, you say, thank you for giving me your money. And that's it.
I love
that's
that.
it. You got what you needed out of them. And then that's it. And they can move on. And what that bad review, if they left a review, if they went on and left a scathing review, what that's going to do is deter other people like them.
Exactly.
It's not for them. And so even 1-star reviews, when they have an explanation, I hate 1-star reviews without an explanation, but when they have an explanation, are very good for you in your book, because it's going to tell people who this book is for and who it is not. One of my closest friends who I'm co-publishing a book with, her book has a lot of curse words in it. And someone went and said, this book is trash. It's got all these swear words in it. And she made more sales off of that negative review because people were like, I love swear words. Yep. Give me all the swear words. Right? So we never need to look at a 1-star review as a loss. We can always spin it. And so you looking at that one positive review and saying, okay, I've done what I need to do, is very, very healthy.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, there's so much negative in the world that we could choose to focus on, right? But why not focus on where we have positive impact and keep putting more attention into that? I think that makes a bigger difference.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'm going to ask my favorite question for all of my authors. What advice do you have for aspiring authors?
I mean, the simple one is to sit down and write. I mean, I think that's the basic advice, right? Because if you don't write it, it can't come out into the world. But really, it is that if you allow yourself to access your deepest, darkest parts, you will find brilliant characters, brilliant stories, brilliant tidbits of your wisdom, because our shadows are the keys to our gold. The shadows are really where we find what's needing to be shared, because what's in the shadows is what's unseen and the most likely to end up causing change in the world, right? Because what's already out here, you were talking earlier about individual ideas, right? New content, innovation that AI can't quite do. Your ideas, your shadows could be someone else's escape into their biggest thrive ever through a character, right? Through a story, through a post that you put up simply because you decided to share your words. So actually write, because your words and your voice matter.
Absolutely. All right. Do you have any offers that you'd like to send out to our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, Living Luna is a community space as well as a podcast. Our community spaces are free. So if you are looking for an uplifting community where you can be yourself and be celebrated for your differences, your uniqueness, as well as your similarities, we are on Facebook and Discord. So you can just look up Living Luna, and that's Luna like the moon. And if you want to sign up for our newsletter, you get instant access to freebies, including a boundaries guide, some guided meditations, just fun stuff we put up on our website to give away by going to livinglunas.com/newsletter. So that's like super simple if you want to grab that. And otherwise, come socialize with us, because we are ultimately a community. We have writer spaces. We have nerd spaces. We've got starseed spaces. Like, we are for everyone who wants to celebrate their wild, woo, and weird.
I love that. And we're going to put the link down in the show notes so you can head over there and join that community. It sounds like a beautiful place to be. So thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of I Wrote That. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to our show so you don't miss any of our upcoming guests. And if this has led you to some inspiration to want to get started on your own authorship journey, whether you just have an idea or you have a manuscript that you're ready to publish, reach out to us at nextpagepublishing.net, and we will match you up with our team of experts to make the journey simple, easy, and smooth.